Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. So, very straightforward video. A lot of people have been asking me on Twitter randomly every now and again. The channel here, Money Rules, has been about like crazy cryptocurrency news in the market. But a couple of months ago, I was doing a lot of videos that had to do with Vivi and like what was going on with Vivi and like kind of the things to look for on the app. A lot of people have been asking me for something sort of like that. I mentioned to a lot of you before, I'm roughly buying the same things over and over. And that's mainly because Vivi has really given us, the people who are early to this market, a large majority of the actual mega large comics that there are out there in the real world. So if you're looking at comics from the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, we have nearly all of them. We're missing a few. I also made a video on like the comics that we're currently missing on Vivi. But the vast majority of like good things are there. Over the course of the 1960s, if there were 25 different titles that came out at some point, Avengers, X-Men, Spider-Man, Hulk, Iron Man, whatever you name it, roughly between 20 to 25 of them are like major keys. So there's a really big difference between Amazing Spider-Man #1 and Amazing Spider-Man #28. That's kind of the point to be made. Avengers #1 and Avengers 4 are a lot more sought after than Avengers number 60, 74 and a half. Not a real number, but you understand what I'm saying. This is why I like when I'm buying things, it's typically the same things over and over because all the major keys are there except for mainly Captain America #1 right now. The point of this video is to kind of help direct people who are on Vivi, because I'm noticing when people ask me questions on Twitter or here, it's more of I think a lot of people are just buying anything that they see, expecting everything to be amazing. There's a very big difference between the first appearance of the Vulture and the first appearance of Carnage. I believe that's Spider-Man 361. The issue is that on the Vivi app, there's a weird price issue where a lot of comics that aren't popular or expensive in the real world are being bought up more than the actual high-end tier comics, because people are simply seeing, well, this comic is $2 on Vivi, so I'm going to buy up 20 of them at the exact same time, when you're actually a lot better off buying the other mega comic key that is only going for around $11 to $12 at the time of me making this video. I mentioned before on Twitter, it's very difficult for me to go onto Vivi and not buy anything, because the stuff on there right now is like actually dirt cheap. And I say that from the point of view of even just a basic way to make a profit. And this isn't anything like spectacular. I'm not going to tell you something that's like going to revolutionize your life. A lot of the major comics on there right now, some of them are selling like $2, $2.50, $3. The drop price for them when they were released was $6. When we have a crazy bull market once again, these things are at least going to go from $3 to $6. There's like 12 of them left. Of course, the price is logically going to rise like crazy. But once again, I'm seeing a lot of people buying up things that have no real world value. I won't give you the multitude of answers as to what does not have value, but I will steer you in a light way to let you understand the comic collectors, the big money that's on the app. This is what they're buying. They're buying the things I'm going to tell you about right now. If you're looking for like longevity, so there's a difference between you trying to buy a whole bunch of stuff because you eventually want thousands of comics. Buy whatever you want. If you really want the stuff in the real world that goes for 5,000, 10,000, 15, 25, 65,000 in high grade, these are kind of it. You should be aiming for stuff nearly exclusively from the 1960s and before, Silver Age. Very, very important. You also have Marvel Comics #1. That's completely a given. It's Marvel Comics #1. If you find that Marvel Comics #1 is too expensive for you, you should be aiming for its Fantastic Four #4. It's the one I told you before is my favorite cover in the entire world. It's the Silver Age, the 1960s appearance of the Submariner, Namor, Namor, depending on whatever you want to try and call him. Also a very popular comic, which is selling for nearly nothing on the app right now. That's my opinion of the actual number. Because this real world comic sells for 10, 15, 20,000 in high grade plus. The problem is that it's usually selling on Vivi less than other crappy comics that are on there that simply have less because people are buying them because they're only $2. You should be aiming for really old comics. If at any point you get confused when looking on Vivi, you don't know if something is worth it or if you should buy it from the 60s, check eBay, check Google. The thing you want to buy at that moment will probably still be there in 5 minutes on the app. Check what these things are actually going for in price. You can even make sure that you memorize them. This is something that I haven't seen a lot of people talking about. In the comic book space, I've been into comics since I was a little kid. I can look obviously at a comic book cover and I know exactly when it was made, what number the issue is, and what the characters inside of it and the first appearance and key appearances of all these things are. Of course, a lot of you have been getting into it as well. You notice the difference in covers between Amazing Spider-Man number 98 and number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. You understand the value of a lot of these things. If you start seeing stuff, like you can even Google major Marvel comic book Silver Age keys, you'll get a whole bunch of them. There's a lot of stuff on Vivi to try and, move around in a certain way. Buy what makes sense so that when the market does go back up, you are holding mega comics and not random things from the 1990s that no one cares about. As much as I love Bishop as a character and Gambit as well, these comics go for nearly nothing in the real world. Whatever. So we're slimming down what we're buying because Vivi over the last year kind of has everything. Anyway, you should be aiming for, obviously, Amazing Spider-Man #1, second appearance of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man #2, first appearance of Vulture, Amazing Spider-Man #3, first appearance of Dr. Octopus, Amazing Spider-Man #4, first appearance of the Vulture, Amazing Spider-Man #14, first appearance of the Green Goblin. We have the Incredible Hulk #1 and Avengers #1 on Vivi as well. And to see the prices matching, do you understand how much Incredible Hulk #1 goes for in high grade in the real world? And to see that this comic is near the prices of these other comics from 1986 that no one cares about in the real world is actually nearly disturbing. If you want high-end books, once again, Google it, but also you should be aiming for Hulk #1, Avengers #1, Tales of Suspense #39, first appearance of Iron Man, major book. Of course, you have Amazing Fantasy 15, first appearance of Spider-Man. That's like saying you should drink water. I feel like I shouldn't have to actually announce that one. Once again, if you can't afford, or you see that Marvel Comics #1, I think it's currently $40 on the app, aim for Fantastic Four #4 with the Submariner running out of the water. It's a major, huge comic and is a fraction of the price of Marvel Comics #1. X-Men #4, first appearance of the Scarlet Witch. Also a gigantic book. I saw it a couple of weeks ago. I think it was going for $3 or $4, and I was like, what? Like, what in the world happened? And that's not talking about what prices have dropped. So, of course, this will drop as well. No, Ultimate Fallout #4 is still high up in price, like relatively reflecting fractionally where it should be. A lot of the other major keys, people are selling off huge books to buy brand new garbage that they put out there. And forgive me for saying garbage, but those Mickey Mouse comics and all these other things, those are worth nothing in the real world. Those are worth dollars, $1, $2, maybe $2.50. They're worth nothing. And you are selling your first appearance of Scarlet Witch, your first appearance of the Submariner, first appearance of Spider-Man, to buy it just doesn't, it's not really adding up. You should be focusing on Strange Tales number 110, the first appearance of Doctor Strange, also extremely low in price right now. Fantastic Four number 1 should go without saying. Fantastic Four number 52, the first appearance of the Black Panther. I'm seeing more people buy up Black Panther number 1 from 1998 than the first appearance of Black Panther from the 1960s. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. And I've noticed it's usually like a really weird difference in, a minuscule difference in price. Black Panther number 1 from 1998 might be going for $5-6. The first appearance of the Black Panther might go for $8 or $9. That $3 difference, same as like, well, the shipping is $5. I don't want to buy it. Stops people from buying the thing that's actually worth a huge amount of money in the real world. I think that's mainly everything that I have on the list. Once again, just focus on the stuff from the 1960s. There are some modern age comics that are great to buy. Edge of Spider-Verse 2, first appearance of Gwen Stacy as Spider-Woman. You also have Ultimate Fallout 4, of course. There's a couple of other comics that I can't think of off the top of my head. These are great books, but realistically, Ultimate Fallout 4 does not match Amazing Spider-Man number 1. That is just complete logic. As much as I love Miles Morales, it just doesn't really add up. The first appearance of Spider-Gwen, while also a very, very expensive book in secret rare form, the secret rare comic on Vivi in the real world, I think it's the Greg Land variant. It is worth thousands of dollars. Does not hold a candle to Amazing Spider-Man number 2, Amazing Spider-Man number 3, Amazing Spider-Man number 4, first appearance of Doctor Strange, first appearance of the Avengers, first Thor, first Iron Man. It just doesn't, they're not remotely close as far as like cultural significance and also like pulling in 6 figures for a high grade. Yeah, bit of a different video. Just wanted to make sure that I got that out there because I'm noticing people are buying trash. And you have the opportunity to buy literal pieces of gold for $4, $5, $6, $7 right now. And I want, that was the camera once again. It always does that thing. I want to let you know what's actually out there so that you in the future are like, cool, I got the right stuff, as opposed to a Mickey Mouse comic about him going to space or something like that. It just doesn't. Right. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, great morning, great afternoon, or great evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be on this weird planet. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.